Yes, good morning. Today is November the 24th. It is Tuesday and almost time for Thanksgiving. So, today we're going to open by talking a little bit about your study guide and talking about the birth of Rome and, where it all comes from. And you see there, I've already given you that. Please look at that 3 minute. It's a 3 minute YouTube video that doesn't even last 3 minutes, but in a very comic way, it actually talks about one of the two versions of how Rome was founded. One was, of course, from the movie Troy, where when Troy is falling, um, Paris gives the sword of Troy to Aeneas, and he runs off and founds the city of Rome. And the other is this version, where Rome was founded by two twin brothers, Romulus and Remus. And in the end, as you saw, Romulus, in a fit of rage, kills Remus, which will kind of be par for the course going forward for Rome. It'll be one of the greatest civilizations known to mankind, and yet it always have that violent overtone to it. And so let's begin, shall we? All right. Many people consider the Roman civilization as the greatest civilization that ever inhabited the earth or never ever will. Um, in many ways, you can make a great case for that. Remember that Rome began about 300 BC, 400 BC, and lasted over 1,000 years. And if you include actually the Byzantine Empire, which is Roman, it lasted 2,000 years. Remember that our country is going on its third century, and a lot of people think we're not going to make it to see the new millennium, or not new millennium, but the 22nd century. So I don't know. But yeah, Rome lasted, and it lasted in a day when they didn't have instant telecommunication or anything like that. So Roman civilization is known for three things. Is known for three things. Number one, the accomplishments of their army. Yeah, I mean, the Roman army was able to conquer a territory that I think I have a picture here. That was picture. That was included all of Europe and much of the Middle East and North Africa. I think I have it somewhere here. Let's go. Hmm. That's not it. Thought I had a map of Rome. I'll have to come up with one later on. But yeah, Rome at its height literally controlled all of Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. And they controlled that for quite a long time. Then the second thing is Roman law. Roman law, once again, was the perfect law? No. But Roman law was for all people. And it was posted in the forum where everyone could see it. Rome and Roman engineering. Roman engineering is incredible. I mean, the Romans built 22,000 miles of roads that crisscrossed Europe, so much so that a person could travel faster in the days of what is called the Pax Romana, about the 2nd century AD, than they could any time after that until the invention of the railroad. And the reason was these Roman roads, they were paved. You could ride a chariot down them bumpily, but yeah. And rain, snow didn't matter. Most other roads would wash out in a severe rain, but Roman roads lasted so much. In fact, some Roman roads still exist. They're used for like animal trails now and herding sheep and whatever, but yeah, they're still there. You think I-75 is going to be there in 2,000 years? Not without being resurfaced once or twice. They built bridges, they built aqueducts, they built coliseums, they built buildings, all because the Romans created their one invention. I mentioned this before. The one Roman invention was something called concrete. Yeah, I mean, this thing we call concrete today was a Roman invention. And then there is Latin. There may be their greatest contribution. And yes, on your test, you'll be asked to name the 5 Romance languages. Romance languages are the languages that descended from Latin over time. And Latin is not one of them, okay? But I will say, those you are thinking about going to college, that when you're in college, your early years, I would take a semester of Latin, a beginner's Latin course. And you might say, why? Well, the reason why is that in a lot of the upper level college courses, if you're planning on going into law, if you're planning on, for example, going into something dealing with medicine and science, that many of the terms have Latin roots. And if you know the Latin root, then you can pretty much guess the rest. But anyway, 5 Romance languages: Portuguese, Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian. I hate that. Hate that a lot. Okay, so often Roman and Greek cultures are lumped together as the classical civilizations. And that's a good term to know, classical civilizations. The classical civilizations, and while that is a convenient way of studying them, since it's the Romans who basically adopted just about everything that existed in Greek culture, there was a couple of significant differences. But please understand, know what the classical civilizations mean. What is meant by that classical civilization? Basically, what it means is that ever since Rome disappeared, every country since then has tried to duplicate all or part of it. For example, it is no accident that when you go to Washington, D.C., we have a Senate, which is a Roman name. For example, it is no coincidence that when you do go to Washington, D.C., or Frankfurt, or Columbus, and you look at the Capitol building, they look like Greek and Roman structures. That's neoclassical architecture, and that's not an accident. The founding fathers wanted, afternoon, Mr. DeMaria, the founding fathers wanted this country to be associated with Rome. Yeah, that's how it was. For example, when the Roman emperor was greeted, when the Roman emperor was greeted, when he came into a room, people would stand, extend their right arm, look familiar, anyone? And say, "Hail Caesar." Sound familiar, anyone? Hail Caesar? Maybe it does. That wasn't an accident either. Not at all. Nor is it an accident that the emperor of Germany was called a Kaiser. Caesar, Kaiser, Caesar, Kaiser. Yeah. Or the emperor of Russia was called a czar. What? Well, we'll talk about this later on, but Russians, when when you learn to talk, there are certain words that if you learn them at a young age, you will learn them. However, there's like a window of opportunity. Like, for example, I can't do the rolling R sound for Spanish. I can't. I'm physically unable to do it. Japanese people have difficulty with the W and the L sounds. Russians have difficulty pronouncing the double S sound, as in scissors, buzzers, tweezers, or, wait for it, Caesar. It came out czar. And there you are. I mean, and that's not an accident either. The Russian ruler was called a czar, which is the Russian word for Caesar. I mean, that's not accidental. These countries wanted themselves to be compared to Rome. All right. It can be summed up in the overused generalization that the Greeks were the great thinkers and the Romans were the great doers. While the Greeks broke new ground with their conception that there is some logical reasons for the natural world, the Romans took Greek ideas and made them into reality. The Greeks were Euclidean geometry, Aristotelian logic, Plato's Republic, and the Romans were the world's great empire builders. They built roads and cities. The Greeks' theory, the Romans' reality. They built roads and cities and buildings and bridges and aqueducts that will have no equal until the invention of modern industrialism. The Greeks were great original thinkers. By contrast, the only true memorable Roman invention was a substance used for building roads and walls and buildings called concrete. We said that before. Okay, Roman numeral 1. The civilization, empire, republic that would outlast all the others and become the most influential in world history had its beginnings with a people called the Latins, hence the name of the language, Latin, who lived in central Italy and who began by pacifying, that means conquering, their enemies, the Etruscans in particular, and founding a city in 753 BC. The city of Rome was founded 753 BC. Who was Romulus? Who was Remus? Yes, we already went over them. They're the founders of the city that you saw in that little cartoon. The early Romans established a republic. Now, that doesn't mean a democracy. It means a republic. A republic is a state that rules according to law. Not the laws of an emperor or a king, but an organized set of laws that is the same for everybody. In Roman society, there were two kinds of people. There were the patricians, and the word patrician, once again, look at your Latin roots, P-T-A-R. No, P-T-P-A-T-R. Paternal, paternity, patrician, father. The word, as Ulysses Everett McGill said, I'm the paterfamilias, meaning the father of the family. Yeah, it means father. So there were the more established, the landowners in Rome were the patricians, the so-called fathers of the state. Them and their representatives served in the Roman Senate. Now, not everybody was a patrician. Not everybody was a landowner. The commoners were called plebeians. They were Roman citizens, but they didn't own land, and they were common workers, And if you ever know of anybody or you yourself go to one of the 4 service academies, Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, the Army, the Academy at West Point, or the Coast Guard Academy, your first year is called your plebe year. Not an accident, nor a coincidence that goes back to this. Yes, the Senate was made. This was a lawmaking body of 300 members or 300 representatives of the patricians. Now, so the Senate represented the patricians, but what about the plebeians? Well, they had no representatives except these guys, tribunes. Tribunes were 2 guys whose job it was to stand outside the Senate. They couldn't go in the Senate, only senators. Stand outside the Senate. And if the Senate tried to pass something that would be abusive to the plebeians, they would stand up there and they would yell the word veto, which means I forbid it. Okay, that being said, we're going to talk about the Punic Wars tomorrow because that's quite an extended conversation. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll talk about it Monday when I return, when we all return. In the meantime, and I'm giving you this extra time, so hopefully you'll go back and turn in some of that extra homework. For example, the scripting of Rick Steves. If you don't, I just give you a 0. I don't care, guys. Same thing with that test, which the great majority of people who have taken that test have made hundreds. Not, I won't say not A's, okay? Yeah, between 90 and 100. It's not that difficult a test. Take the test. You don't take the test, it's 0. So yeah, we'll talk about the Punic Wars when we return on Monday, November 30th. Have a good day and have a great Thanksgiving.